today. Hey every pony, them's Fightin Herds. Let's all get hoofed. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where this week we're just a couple of days away from Valentine's Day.
So, in honor of the romantic season, you have our permission to imagine any two of this week's stories entwined in a tender, erotic embrace.
Or heck, even more than two. There's no rule saying that the news has to be monogamous.
Remember Agents of Mayhem? It was Volition's follow-up to the deeply and passionately beloved Saints Row series, except it was bad and not very funny and nobody bought it. As a video game, board game developer Academy Games is currently running a Kickstarter for Agents of Mayhem, Pride of Babylon, a reimagining of Agents of Mayhem as a crazy, modular, 3D, multi-level board game with destructible terrain, customizable characters, and a persistent storyline. And with 14 days to go, the campaign is massively overfunded, with over $120,000 in pledges, which is more than 4 times the original funding goal. So clearly people are interested in Agents of Mayhem, beyond the fact that the 3D boards make it look like some kind of cool Star Trek space chess shit. But alas, if you were a fan of the video game, because statistically someone out there is, don't get your hopes up for the board game reinvigorating the Agents of Mayhem brand. Out of all 1,350 backers of the Kickstarter campaign at time of recording, do you know how many people pledged an extra $25 to get the original PC game and all the DLC added on? 37. That's 2.7% of backers. Maybe people are just buying this because it looks like future chess.
Almost exactly 5 years ago, CheckPoint ran a story of MLP Fighting is Magic, a 2D fighting game based on Hasbro's then peak fandom, My Little Pony, the animated series. 5 years on, we remain unsurprised that Hasbro stepped in and said whoa there in saddling the project with a cease and desist. Afterwards, however, Lauren Faust, who was the showrunner responsible for My Little Pony's stunning return to pop culture relevance, and who also had recently stepped away from the show, contacted the developers, the Main Six, and was so impressed by their ambition that she offered to design legally distinct characters for a still quadruped but not Hasbro fighting game. And now, 5 years later, and after a successful $500,000 Indiegogo campaign, them's Fightin Herds is finally seeing release. What a happy ending. This is the kind of result we would wish upon everyone who had a copyright-infringing fan project shut down. And it's probably been just long enough for people who aren't still invested in MLP fandom to check it out because MLP is such a pop culture throwback. And one of the characters is an alpaca, so the game's basically perfect.
HQ, the free trivia game show you can play on your phone for a chance to win real money, is very, very popular. And while not everyone is as good at HQ as I am, I've won a game. And last week I lost on question 12, which sucks a lot. HQuack, an HQ cheating bot, briefly ruined the game last week, and that sucks even more. On one of the February 6th games, 786,883 players started the game, and an insane and record-setting 9,046 people got all 12 questions right. Which is bullshit, because that meant that each winning player got 23 cents, and that's a pretty crummy reward if you were just a normal person who finally made it to the end only to have your winnings eaten up by all the assholes using the cheating bot. Luckily, the creator of HQuack took the bot down last Friday, but there are still plenty of cheaters out there using their own homebrew methods, and there's even a members-only site called HQ Help that purports to show what most members think the right answer is. And unfortunately, there isn't really an easy solution to this problem because people are assholes and they like to ruin things. And I mean, HQ could introduce more like ungoogleable questions, like name that tune style stuff where they play a couple seconds of music by a band with a huge and impossible to parse discography, where most of the songs sound the same to an untrained ear. Say, Boards of Canada or King Gizzard. Hey Scott, call me.
If you've been keen to buy a new gaming PC or update your graphics card recently, you might have been dismayed to discover that the crypto dingbats have made it more expensive and potentially even impossible for you to do so. During an Nvidia earnings call, the graphics card giant disclosed a 33% year-on-year increase in fourth quarter sales, brought on by holiday season demand, new games, esports, whatever that means in this context, and cryptocurrency mining. The mining in particular exceeding their expectations, and while difficult to quantify, was definitely a higher percentage of sales than even the prior quarter. Nvidia said that their focus is still on their core market, especially since they note that cryptocurrency, quote, will likely remain volatile. And Nvidia say they've been pressuring retailers to focus on gamers. But this has to be a win-win for Nvidia. They're the only people reliably making money on cryptocurrencies. Them and the power company, what fucking timeline are we in?
I think something went wrong in one of the unknowable upper dimensions, and we've somehow slipped into the Douglas Adams timeline.
You'd think things would be a bit more high-spirited if we were in the Douglas Adams timeline.
An eccentric billionaire just sent his car to Mars as a publicity stunt.
Well, then I'm looking forward to space travel.
I'm not. I've read those books. Coming up, Call of Duty player These Knives Only has achieved a prestige rank in Call of Duty World War II without firing a single shot. I always set out a goal of getting to level 1000 using only knives, he told Kotaku, presumably via carrier pigeon. But seriously, I'm not the first person to make the observation that, like, a man just sent his car to Mars as a publicity stunt. This is like the most Douglas Adams thing ever.
Look at this graph.
This graph is amazing. I give it a lick. Tastes just like graphs.
I was making a different reference, but good job.